good. They, if some of their flowers made it to the lotus feet of Srila Saraswati Thakur, then this place is blessed. Without him, we are nowhere. We have nothing. There would be no Krishna consciousness movement. There'd be some divine souls hidden somewhere in India that no one would know. And if anything, there would be masses of people following the wrong person, following some bogus impersonation of what is Krishna consciousness. That once someone, more than once, and it's a natural sort of thought, someone said to Guru Maharaj, I find it easier to read Bhaktivinoda Thakur than Saraswati Thakur. And everybody could say that. Just someone happened to say it. And Guru Maharaj said, yes. And he said, and he's also more easily misunderstood. So when people are falling prey to Prakriti Sahajaism, sometimes they try to show some works of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in the Jaiva Dharma it says this, or the Bhajan Rahas. They look for different sections that seem to support their descent into Prakriti Sahajaism or imitationism. But what Srila Guru Maharaj said, the second half of that, said, but our Guru Maharaj, he can't be misinterpreted that way. He may require more to catch, but one thing for sure, you can't take what Saraswati Thakur said and somehow extract Sahajaism from that. So, if anything, Srila Guru Maharaj is saying, he presented things in such a way, it's so high. It's not just so high, it's the highest thing. Like sometimes Guru Maharaj will say, high talks from a mean mouth. Or we also say, discussing very high things. And we're not to discuss those things casually or frequently or go into the details of such things. But at the same time, Srila Gurudev, Srila Govinda Maharaj would remind us, this is reality. Right? It is the highest reality. So inevitably, if someone is following that, pursuing that, they're going to come in connection with not only high things, but the highest things of which there is nothing higher. So Srila Saraswati Thakur, fully aware in a comprehensive way of what the gift is, what's being given, which brings to mind Guru Maharaj is the giver and the gift. Which comes first? The gift or the giver? And he's talking about Sri Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikritir Hladini Shaktarazmad Ekatman Vapi Bhuvi Puram Deham Bedam Gatoto Chaitanakyam Prakatam Advayam Chaikyam Aptam Radha Bhava Duti Subalita Nomi Krishna Swarupam. It's actually from Swarup Damodar. So you can say, this is Swarup's conception, Swarup Damodar's conception. They say, well, we don't know. The giver or the gift, Mahaprabhu is the giver of the gift of this great gift, identified by Srila Guru Maharaj as Bhaktivinoda Viraha Dasakam and noted by Srila Saraswati Thakur, Sri Radha Padasevanamritam Aho Taddatam Isho Bhavan. That this is Bhaktivinoda Thakur's gift to the world. Radha Dasyam, the service of the holy lotus feet of Srimati Radharani. Srila Saraswati Thakur is fully aware of the gift of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, what it is. And so he was happy to see in Guru Maharaj's prayer, that it was identified very clearly what Bhaktivinoda Thakur came to give to the world. So he is also giver of that gift. But Srila Saraswati Thakur is the giver of the wealth of Bhaktivinoda Thakur to the world. And to do that, if they can be a little quieter there. They don't realize these are just curtains, you know. So, and who better than Srila Guru Maharaj to identify that, like here, that Kesava Maharaj said about Srila Guru Maharaj, that we can find sometimes Vaishnavas in their writings, particularly in Sanskrit, Bengali, but Sanskrit more specifically, they try to put some Gaudiya ontology there, but it may not be so, may not be embellished with poetic sweetness and alankar ornamentation, etc. Others, they can give something that's embellished or ornamented, but it's lacking in substance. So, but we find in the writings of Srila Guru Maharaj this irresistibly charming combination of ontology and poetic beauty. So, like, just if you see here, this particular meter and rhyme scheme, Sujanar Buddha Radita Pada Jugam, it ends on the word Yugam. What's the word in the next line? Yuga. Yuga Dharma Durandara Patra Baram. It ends on Baram. What's the next line? Bara. It ends on Bara, begins on Bara. Bara Dayaka Puja Padam Pranamami Shada Prabhupada Padam. Patim Patita Gatim Gati Tanum Tanunindita Madam Madanarbhuta Vidum Vidutatita Baram Bara again. Bhuvam Bhuvaneshu Dayam Dayaniya. So how, and to maintain that throughout, and to present all these different aspects of who Saraswati Thakur is. It's nothing short of poetic, Siddhantic genius. So that Srila Saraswati Thakur, seeing what Guru Maharaj wrote in the Bhaktivinoda Virahadasakam, remember, this speaking, gift, saying Bhaktivinoda Thakur's gift. Is it being received? Saraswati Thakur has come here to distribute something. He's not a practitioner. When he went on the Braja Mandal Parikrama, and he's touring Vrindavan, and there's even a movie called Vrindavan, Land of Krishna. My mother saw it once on TV and she asked me, "Do y'all worship the peacock?" I said, "Yeah, let me tell you a little more about it." That's what she came away with.
Wow, that's good.
Yeah. So Land of Krishna, Vrindavan. Yes, we worship the peacock feather adorning Krishna's head. Bar hapidam natabara. But we think, everyone in Vrindavan is a devotee of Krishna. We would like to think that, and we should think that. That'll be nice if we think like that. And we see the 5,000 temples, the never-ending celebration at our mat in Seva Kunj. At around 4:30 in the morning, that group comes down every day on their way to the Radha Damodar temple. They're intense. They're having their kirtan. They're on their way to Radha Damodar temple and bless their hearts and souls, and maybe they can give us blessings. But Saraswati Thakur, having toured the whole of Vrindavan, dashed his palm to his head. He said, "Oh, I'm so unfortunate. I couldn't find a single Vaishnava." It's not that, then we'll say that. And we go, "All right, that's now in my pocket. Next time I go to Vrindavan, I'll say that." And everyone will be shocked and think how advanced I am to insult everybody. Because from us, it'll be an insult. From him, it was not an insult. Guru Maharaj said, he had the sweetness of Vrindavan within, because Vrindavan is the land of sweetness, Madhurja. He said, but it could only be detected within. Without, he took the form of a devastator. So he's making these devastating pronouncements. Why? Because he is envious or offensive. He's saying such cruel things or outrageous things. Or is there some other cause for that? So Guru Maharaj revealed that what others were striving to achieve, he had descended from the upper world, the Goloka world, to distribute something. That's why I say he's not a practitioner, but an eternally liberated associate of the personality of Godhead. Sometimes those words may be used so casually or frequently, but in the case of Srila Saraswati Thakur, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, we use those words very precisely to describe their position. When one follower's faith had become damaged, the person who said, I challenge Maya, can she take me from the lotus feet of Prabhupada? And she did. And he tried to break the faith of Srila Guru Maharaj. And his line of argument is, many things Saraswati Thakur is they're not in the they're not Vedic, the old Vedic thing. They're not Vedic. So Guru Maharaj said very beautifully, he said, what Prabhupada Saraswati Thakur is giving is beyond the Vedas. It's better than the Vedas. It's superior to the Vedas. So then we could think, oh, some loving, fanatical follower of some guru will say, what my Mad Guru, see Jagat Guru, what my guru says. But Guru Maharaj is not that type of person. So he calmly demonstrated him. He said, what are the Vedas? They're the statements of the rishis. Rishi comes from drishi, to observe. Like, interesting, the Greek word aesthetic, aesthete. Is there some Russian word like that? Aesthetikos? Or?
Aesthetica.
Yeah. We take it to mean beauty, but it actually means what is observed, what is perceived by the senses is what it means originally. And this comes to the point, what are the senses meant for but to perceive beauty? Who's the ultimate beauty? Krishna. What are the senses meant for? Krishna culture. That's Saraswati Thakur is very straight. This is the purpose of all of this, is to perceive Krishna, to glorify Krishna in everything. If you ever seen this thing where Krishna is, and it's got like 64 things where you think Krishna is this, Krishna is that, Krishna, Krishna. When he'd look at a book in the press, some magazine article they're working on, and he'd look at it and he'd say, how many times does it say the name Krishna? And they go, oh, well, this many times. Oh, then it's a good article. It's not looking exactly what they said. Sometimes, but other times saying, how many times did they mention Krishna or Gauranga or Mahaprabhu? A lot? That's a good article. Right? Prabhupada would sometimes say that too, Bhaktivedanta. Sometimes there's some article in a newspaper Hare Krishna, and then something not flattering. Well, everyone is seeing the name of Krishna. You know. But anyway, Guru Maharaj said, so the Vedas, it's what's coming down through the rishis, that aesthetic that they've perceived, and it's passing through their consciousness into this plane. And what is it mainly? Brahma, Paramatma, and a hint of Bhagavan. But what is being given by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Saraswati Thakur, is not only Bhagavan, Krishna conception, but the full-fledged Krishna conception given by Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he showed him. So he said, back to the original point, what he's giving is superior to the Vedas. Like, next question, you know. And anyway, I pressed Guru Maharaj once. I said, what did he say when you said these things? He realized he was defeated, so all he could say is, if he is Siddha. And that's back to the point. The plane he descended from, what he saw in visiting Vrindavan, whom he will think is a Vaishnava, that he was deprived of coming into connection with. That sort of person he could not find. But he found such a person, the holy lotus feet of Srila Gaura Das Babaji Maharaj, his Gurudev, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, perhaps to not allow for the Jata Goshai type conception, that qualification by birth. You'll never hear, or rarely hear, Saraswati Thakur and his followers refer to him as his son. They don't promote this type of thing. Once when I'd heard Bhaktivinoda Thakur, one daughter was still alive, and I asked Srila Govinda Maharaj if he thought I should interview her. She was in England or somewhere. And he answered very straight. He said, we're not interested in blood connection. I just shuddered. We're not interested in blood connection, but spiritual current. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur sent Saraswati Thakur, the great Siddhanta Saraswati, the greatest philosopher, Sri Jiva Tejastiti, likened to Jiva Goswami, sometimes told to be an incarnation of Jiva Goswami in depth and intensity. He sent that Saraswati Thakur to the lotus feet of Gaura Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, who's functionally illiterate, to be his guru. And meeting, was Babaji Maharaj, Mukhe Radha Bole Beshe Nayanera Jale Radhe, like Raghunatha, tears are streaming down. He's crawling on the ground in divine madness in the Dham and praise of the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani. Saraswati Thakur asking for his connection, and Gaura Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj said, I shall have to ask Mahaprabhu. So he returns in a fortnight, Babaji Maharaj, and I forgot to ask. Why? He's speaking humbly to break the scholarly attitude. Everyone wanted him to be their disciple. All the known gurus and Navadvip, Bengal, if they can get this Bimala Prasad, they can see. But as they wanted Bhaktivinoda Thakur, his famous Bhagavad speech is actually his parting words to that society. They're all thinking he's going to succeed, this gentleman, and he gives this talk saying, adieu. You want to emphasize the Western Savior. I want to bring everyone in the direction of the Eastern Savior, Gauranga Mahaprabhu. Anyway, in a similar way, they want to get Saraswati Thakur. That's Saraswati Thakur, who he's a renowned Jyotishi. Right? Means he has complete astrological knowledge. Yet, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who's not a Jyotishi, he follows the Panjika calendar of P.N. Bakshi. Saraswati Thakur, even when his own calculations are not in sync with that, he defers to Bhaktivinoda Thakur to show calculation and devotion. They don't mix. Calculation is an enemy of devotion. We're interested in the transfer of autonomy to a qualified agent. Saraswati Thakur extracted from the teachings of Bhaktivinoda that overall, the most important thing is to be under the guidance of a superior Vaishnava. That's it. That's number one. And everything else helps that, is secondary to that. Without being under the guidance of such a personality, then practice, everything becomes suspect. So when Saraswati Thakur is, when he says, I couldn't find a single Vaishnava in Vrindavan, and the devotees, this is a shock to them. They're thinking, land of Krishna, everyone's a devotee of Krishna there, everyone taking, what they do. How this is, in dictionary definition, an outrageous statement. So they think, well, what if they name who's regarded as a Siddha, perfected person, the Siddha Mahatma of the day? What about him? Saraswati Thakur says, him? He's an infant class Vaishnava, a Kanishta Adhikari. He's a practitioner whom everyone thinks is the real deal, a spiritually perfected person. He says, he's a neophyte. Again, is this a statement of arrogance or fact? Or was he even being generous? I think generosity, actually. He's being kind. And Guru Maharaj made the point that he went and observed that person. And when they brought news of some Vaishnava had spent his 50th year in Vrindavan, he said he couldn't tolerate the glorification of the other Babaji. So he had to assert himself. Patricia said, yes, but he was a householder. The old householder brahmachari routine, right? To slight him in some way, throw some mud. He was a householder. As Gurudev once said in another situation, thank you for putting that on our plate. Anyway, and so he said, one of the symptoms of Bhava Bhakti, according to Rupa Goswami, we have a manual, right, to check man shunyata, the absence of such ego. Anyway, and Guru Maharaj said, yes, I concluded, this gentleman, by his practices, he's trying to elevate himself. And our Guru Maharaj and Saraswati Thakur descended from that world, the upper world. And Guru Maharaj writes very beautifully, and the prayer he wrote for the birthday of Saraswati Thakur, that ends on the refrain, Pranamami charanantika paricharaka sahitam, that we don't worship the Guru in isolation, but surrounded the Guru Varga. So we have Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj, Saraswati Thakur. What do you think? Bahumanana Brajakanana. What is it? Guna Manjari Gorima Guna Haribasana Nayanam Kamala Priyanayanam. He says, in that spiritual world, there's a kunja in the spiritual world that is predominated by Kamala Manjari, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and there resides Gaur Kishordas Babaji Maharaj, Guna Manjari, and Bimala Manjari, Nayanamani Manjari, Saraswati Thakur. He likes to sing to glorify the qualities of Guna Manjari. Right? Guna, he's using this word guna repeatedly. So singing the gunas, qualities of Guna Manjari, creates gunas, threads, that if you take one quality, another quality, they weave a spiritually conscious tent in which Krishna likes to dwell. So there we can understand something about the upper world and the positions of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Gaur Kishordas Babaji Maharaj, Srila Saraswati Thakur, and Srila Guru Maharaj's capacity to glorify them in this way. So Srila Saraswati Thakur was looking for an audience for Krishna consciousness. Bhaktivilas Tirtha Maharaj, in his words, gave him that audience. He was not just trying to increase the numbers of spiritual practitioners, but in his words, Western civilization, crush it. He was in a, what do you say, a revolutionary spirit that's captured by Guru Maharaj in the sloka. Nikila Bhuvana Maya, Chinnavich Chinnakartri, Vibhudam Bahulamrigya Mukti Mohanta Datri, Shiti Lidavidi Raga Radhya Radhesha Dvani, Vilasatu Hridi Nityam Bhakti Siddhanta Bani. Back to the position of the devastator. He's aware of the enemies of pure devotion. In Guru Maharaj's prayer, Mayavada Timingilo Tan Udrita Jivaniman. How Mayavad is like a Timingila, whale devouring fish, has come to devour the hearts and minds of so many jivas. The imitation of the Prakrita Sahajyaism, the liberation-seeking scholars and Vedantists. He put an end to all of this by what is his method? Slackening, making it easier for people to make their approach in the devotional line. Although he himself is strict to the extreme, Jati Rajaganai Parisevita, the king of the Jatis or the renunciates, he's making it easier for others to make their approach. As in the Vaikuntha Vritti, when he said, I'm contemplating a youth hostel in England, in London, where the non-veg section will be accommodated by a nearby restaurant. Guru Maharaj, who's from a Bhattacharya Brahmin family, is shocked. He says, like a lightning bolt to him. And he says, the end result of that policy could be our men becoming contaminated. And Saraswati Thakur said, oh, you don't know. It's not like, this is a whimsical thought. I thought of this 10,000 years ago. He said, you have to employ Vaikuntha Vritti. That means a liberal policy. His motto is Pujala Ragapat Gaurava Bange Matala Sarujana Bishaya Range. Bishaya can be misunderstood. Guru Maharaj says, what does it mean? We're taking all the things of this world and offering them to the Raga Marg world. Another meaning is like bait. We're using certain bait to bring people in connection with Krishna consciousness. Avadut Maharaj is the bait master, how to get an audience, which is what Saraswati Thakur wanted. Right? Bring people in connection with us. They'll be happy once they do. However we get them in the door, that's another thing. I told at the time in Moscow, someone, I'm giving a class, asked a question, someone says, can you explain the connection between the ancient Slavic culture and the Vedas? And I said, I said, I'm not here to speak about that, And he said, well, and he held up this little card that had been printed by the devotees, and it says, tonight, Bhakti Siddhar Goswami will speak about the connection between the ancient Slavic culture and the Vedas. I said, oh, okay. So I said, you know about all about the Slavic culture. Let me say something about the Veda culture. But that got him in the door. Right? Then he can hear something about Mahaprabhu, about Krishna conception, and all these wonderful things, the gift of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So, extracting from the teachings of Bhaktivinoda Thakur the importance of association, he then created a spiritual association by the name of Gaudiya Mat. And the idea being, you can go to these, he converts 500 men, he upgrades them to his Krishna conception. Some of them are somewhat formulated by sanskar and birth. He upgrades everybody on an intense program, infusing them with Mahaprabhu's Krishna conception, purely and perfectly. Then distributes them in various parts of India. They open Gaudiya Mats, where people can come and hear the conception of Saraswati Thakur and Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And that becomes tremendously successful. So much so, when one man said, is your idea to establish one of these Gaudiya Mat centers in like every city in India, or maybe every town and village in the world? His response was, no, my idea is to make everyone's heart a temple for Mahaprabhu. Every last man, woman, and child, their heart should become a temple for Mahaprabhu. When Gorakishore Das Babaji Maharaj, who's a Bhajananandi, and Navadip, Mayapur, maybe sometimes Vrindavan or Puri, says, heard Saraswati Thakur's idea of going to Calcutta, saying, Prabhu, don't do that. Calcutta's Maya. It's the heart of Maya. It's the heart of hell. That's the last place in the world you want to go. Just stay here in the Dham and take the holy name and follow the advices of the Mahajans. And Saraswati Thakur, notice how sweetly, this is not like disagreeing with the Guru. This is a very sweet response. He says, oh, you don't know, I have such faith in the dust of your holy lotus feet that by sprinkling that dust, I can liberate thousands of Calcuttas. And if Calcutta is Maya, the heart of Maya, if Calcutta is that hellish place, then what better place for me to establish an altar for the glory of Guru, Gauranga, Radha Govinda? Then that'll be my target. That's precisely where I want to establish a mat or a temple. So that's a very beautiful difference. Right? It's a sweet. This we hear of from Vrindavan Thakur and Kaviraj Goswami. When these higher Vaishnavas express some differences, you don't take sides. It's just beautiful. Both sides are beautiful. Right? Bhaktivinoda Thakur said sometimes, seeing Saraswati Thakur always fighting in school. Imagine going to a Bengali school, all these Bengalis, with their different, they're like Ramakrishna, Vivekananda, all of that, and Saraswati. I mean, we find it intolerable. He's there fighting with them, always establishing the supremacy of Mahaprabhu and his Krishna conception. But later, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is thinking, how are you going to get on in the world? And Saraswati Thakur said, don't worry about me. I'll get by. And when he was tutoring, he accepted, remember he started Gaudiya Math in his 40s. Up to that point, he did have to survive somehow. One of his jobs was tutoring high-class British children. So he would tell his disciples in the future that the lady, this British lady, she was so taken by him that she wrote a letter back to her friends in England. She said, there is this one Bengali, who's like a perfect English gentleman in every way. He never made the British feel uncomfortable. That's the point he's made. He realized they were in the premier position at the time, so he gave he's making plans how to destroy it, take it down, but he's giving some recognition of their ways and things, so that Guru Maharaj said he wasn't always showing the typical ways of the sadhus, but giving some deference to the Shaives, the British, and their civilization. So that lady, she's saying, he's such a gentleman, perfect in every way. He understands completely our culture, which is necessary to have an impact. And saying he's not trying to canvass practitioners. He wants a preacher class, and for him, what does he say? Preaching, kirtan means a fight. Right? That's his mood. Right? Not argumentative, but he's trying to think of how to reasonably, effectively have some impact. This culture's captured the imagination of everybody, Western civilization, including the people in India. So Prabhupada, Bhaktivedanta Swami, he also brought his disciples to India to preach to the Indians, saying they're so enamored by Western civilization. If you bring some, they call it white elephants, white boys and girls, and dressed as devotees, and they're preaching about Krishna, then they'll be charmed by that, and they'll be revived and appreciating their own culture. As the man, Bengali, intellectual, when he read Bhaktivinoda Thakur's works, and he said, he's, how did he say? Re-inspiring us. And what we fell away from, he's bringing us back to that, and with some intensity, something to be proud of, to distribute something again. So Saraswati Thakur, he was hammering this point about preaching. When we say, Vilasatu Riddhi Nityam Bhakti Siddhanta Vani, may his voice play in our hearts eternally. He's the one who does not allow us to sit, to rest, to, go into seclusion. Guru Maharaj favored Nirjan Bhajan, but he knew Saraswati Thakur does not approve of that. He always wants everyone to be in distribution mode. Right? That's what he's looking for. Those who can extend Krishna consciousness to others. And particularly, at the time, he was saying English. In English, they should spread it. And so much so that one of the devotees who was a farmer, whose job was plowing the rice fields, or wheat, whatever kind of fields are. His job was plowing with 2 oxen. They saw he's reading a book like Introduction to English. And they're all saying, Prabhu, what are you studying English for? And he said, maybe someday I'll be plowing the fields in America. So that gives you like a glimpse of like everybody was being infused with this idea that you must, what's been gifted to you, you must give to others. That's the basic principle. Not to go off on your practices. Better than all of that is just to turn to the person next to you, whoever they are, and gift them something of what was gifted to you by the Guru Varga. And Guru Maharaj adds to that, and he's speaking to me once, he said, and, because see the mind start calculating, and you should not give anything less than was given to you. Then that's going to become a bit of a challenge, because we think, what has been given to us? Everything. Not some generic thing, some general thing, but everything. From the generic to the highest and the most specific sort of things. So if we have any appreciation for this, then we try, one way or another, to give it to another. That man's plowing the fields, all of it's Sankirtan. All of it is ultimately Radha Dasyam. When Saraswati Thakur is giving some high talk in Puri, and Guru Maharaj is riveted to what he's saying, then someone asked Saraswati Thakur in the middle of his talk about, like maybe we need to buy yogurt for the festival today or something. And he's happily like making that arrangement. And Guru Maharaj was a little disturbed. He thought, oh, Prabhupada, he's speaking so nice, and they're coming with this, trivial matter. And Saraswati Thakur said, no, we take it that Radharani is the major domo of the mat. Is major domo in Russian? It's Spanish. It means the lady who's in charge of the house. Domo. That's like a Russian word, right? Major means she's in charge of all the household affairs. It's called major domo. Right? So he's saying this seva, it's all Radharani's service to Krishna. Those who are now cooking, those who are cleaning the mat, doing everything. And we have those whose specialty is preaching. Got someone behind the camera, someone in front of the camera. But when all is said and done, we're willing to do all of it. We want to do all of it, actually. We don't think, well, I'm this kind of person, I have... you learn very early on in Krishna consciousness, that doesn't exactly work here. You're supposed to do everything. Everything. Every aspect of it will come to you sooner or later in service to the lotus feet of Guru and Gauranga. Sooner or later, you will be asked to do everything. The preacher didn't show up. I remember times that we worked with Achyutananda Maharaj. He's very unpredictable. Sometimes he would just vanish in the middle of a program. And we would have to sing the songs and give the talk. But that was his mercy, actually. But really, in the middle of a program, suddenly he wasn't there. I'd say, well, to my friend, I guess, remember that we'd start playing, singing, because he was a good singer, good preacher. Then we have to do that. Gurudev, he had to do everything. Worship the deity. We see here, everybody almost in rotation is doing Giriraj's arati. I heard Jamuna did arati the other day. So that's fine. So, and whatever we can do. Everyone's not a speaker, a lecturer, an academic, that's not the idea. But everybody does have something. Someone wrote me the other day about how we don't really understand the language, the slokas, the songs, the rich, and my response is, yet there's some mysterious attraction to all these things that we don't understand. Right? That's the grace of the Vaishnavas. Just their glance, some connection with them. When I was a young devotee in Los Angeles, you either would go out all day on Sankirtan or clean the mat, and you'd there was this rotation. And in cleaning them out means like everything, because they wanted everybody to go out. So you did all the pots and pans, washed all the floors, cleaned this, and if you did this fast enough, if you didn't just like fall down, like from exhaustion, you could read. Then you say, what if I got done early? Then you can read. So I remember one day I finished early and I picked up the Brahma Samhita. And that's where the introduction is by Saraswati. Like that's what the new person always does. They pick up like the highest book. What's the book that probably you couldn't understand the most? That's the one you're going to try and read. So I'm looking at this. The materialistic demeanor cannot possibly stretch to the transcendental autocrat who is ever inviting the conditioned souls to associate with him through. And I'm saying, oh my God, what is this? But I, touched the book to my head and I thought, this is so high, so holy, so unbelievable. And somehow I'm here serving this. That's the Pujala Ragapat Gaurava Bhange. Or at least I can wash the pot. And if it's in service to that plane, good, then I've got a connection. And mysteriously, somehow, by washing the pot, helping out, doing what's asked of you, you start appreciating these higher things, indecipherable things, language we've never heard. It starts playing in your heart. If Bilasatu Hridi Nityam Bhakti Siddhanta Vani, it's his gift. If somehow we will serve him in this day and place, he'll take you into that plane, into the world of Bhakti Vinod Thakur and Babaji Maharaj. All that. That's his idea, his Vaikuntha Britti. He's loosened it up for us. Otherwise, we have no chance of really coming connect. It's like a mercy grant. It's an exemption. He's the one who could sanction that, and he did. And then it entered the heart of all of his followers, and in a very strong way, and Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, that beating of Saraswati Thakur's voice in his heart took him out of India, across the seas, and inundated America with the Krishna consciousness movement. Then later, it's gone all over the world. And then when Avadut Maharaj comes to Srila Govinda Maharaj and says, we're in Detroit, right? Detroit. And what should your service be? He's saying, take Guru Maharaj, and this is what I was saying in the beginning, who Saraswati Thakur says, he fully, perfectly represents me. The gift I came to give, he's received it in full. What does Gurudev say? Take that to Russia, and the rest is history. That's why I'll finish here with, when the hidden treasure of Lakta was revealed with Saraswati. This is Saraswati Thakur's worship. That's why we're so riveted to this. It's not arbitrary. It's what was revealed by Mahaprabhu to Ramananda, that Gauranga is here, and who is he? Radha and Krishna combined, Rasaraj Mahabhav Duyaka These are the Ishta Devatas of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So when they were installed there in Lakta, I can only think how he's dancing in that kunj we heard of in the spiritual world, how happy they all were when that day came. And by the mercy of Srila Bhakti Sundar Govindadev Goswami Maharaj, who is glorifying his Gurudev, Srila Guru Maharaj, and Srila Avadut Maharaj, Vijay Raman, Satya Sundar Prabhu, they all, and the Russian mission, so that would be to him, and Prabhupada, Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, like that in Russia, the conception of Mahaprabhu, when we were saying Gorkha Shortava, don't go to Calcutta, someone say, don't go to Russia, Prabhu, go back to New York. Russia's atheists, you can't have any success, stay in New York with the devotees, 26 2nd Avenue. But then we wouldn't have that. So it's always, everyone being asked, that's why we ask our Chinese devotees to be in rotation, to stay here and then go back to China and preach there a little bit. And If we can all do that, that's how it works. By Kripaya Hari Kirtana Murti Dharam. He's the Hari Kirtan Murti. If you have any appreciation for him, some of it rubs off on you and you extend a little Krishna conception to others. Jai Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Avirbhav Mahamahotsavatiti Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Avirbhav Mahamahotsavatiti Ki Jai. Sri Gaudiya Mat Ki Jai. Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Bhagavati Devi Dasi Ki Jai. Jagannath Puridam Ki Jai. Nitai Go Premanande.
What shall we do now, Maharaj?
Say a few words after that. That's the intro.
Oh, okay. No. I try to be very short, and I say in English because...
You're going to speak tonight and
Yeah.
pa-Ruski this evening.
Few things I captured from your talk, which is very important. I mean, Saraswati Thakur were looking for some kind of a new concept for the world. One of his concepts, which is very loved by Srila Goswami Maharaj, is harmonist. Harmonist, however, it's a great word which means very little for religious people, but ultimately, by Srila Guru Maharaj explained in the books,
Yes.
it actually means everything.
Yes.
Because what we're looking for is harmony, which means love, beauty, attraction. And that concept being exclusively delivered into the Western mind, it hasn't actually opened up yet in the Western mind, because if you look at the world, what happens today, somebody's trying to dominate politically, somebody think the resources and everything, if we control the resources, we around the world, somebody say, well, if we get this free energy, the free energy now is a big movement, because all the war, all the trouble comes from the free energy. Somebody was speaking about, well, if we just get the Google together and get all the information to people, then we have no war, because people be sharing information,
knowledge will eradicate ignorance.
Yes, but the harmonist, according to Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, it's a very interesting concept. Jiva Swarupa Hoiti Nitya Krishna Das. And that's why he was so liberal, because if you just, no matter where you are, connect with your eternal position, everything will gradually, we're not saying immediately, will come to the harmony. Therefore, his idea was, not a very small idea, is to bring some kind of a new religion or the new form of worship, or, even in India, if you look at the Saraswati Thakur activity, he had to oppose all religious conceptions. Because in Kali Yuga, all of them were completely deviated, no matter how great they were. There could be even a Gaudiya Vaishnavism. But there would be Gaudiya Vaishnavism, imagination of some people, or some folk ethnic, behavior like bavuk. You sing the song and you cry, and everybody thinks it's great. Because everybody's singing those songs in Bengali villages, and everybody have some aspiration towards Mahaprabhu, Nityananda, Narottam Das, everybody read Chaitanya Bhagavat, but that was not the same actually. And that's why they were so much different and revolutionary, although they tried to kill him and he had to run away from his saffron dress and exchange the dress to escape from this program. Another interesting point actually is about saffron, because we know that at a certain point, who tried to hit Sanatan Goswami for the saffron?
Jagadananda Pandit.
Yeah, Jagadananda Pandit, when he saw Sanatan,
had a saffron turban.
Tried to put up some dress, and again, Sanatan wasn't like trying to wear a saffron dress. He thought this is like from the Mahaprabhu.
Jagadananda's thinking it's from Mahaprabhu.
Right.
But it's from Mukunda Saraswati.
Yes. So basically, Sanatan, he's just putting on his head. You're thinking it's so high, I'm just wearing my head. But the idea is this: he's giving the saffron, well, which is like, we can say, what's the big deal if you go see Indian sadhu, he'll be dressed in saffron. But that wasn't actually Saraswati Thakur idea, because most people come to India, to Kumbh Mela or the Himalayas. They want to see some saffron Baba, within.
You can't get, there's the food distribution booth.
Yes.
You can't get served if you don't wear saffron.
Yes.
So everyone, if you dye your cloth saffron, you get free khichdi and
Yes.
chapatis.
But besides that, you better get some kind of a folk looking, you can have like, still going to Himalayas, you can get looking like sadhu persons.
Sadhu-like.
Sadhu-like, or, you may get some hardcore Mayavadi. Therefore, when Guru Maharaj met with Prabhupada in Allahabad, his father would not come down, because his father would think, well, it's Ramakrishna or some kind of other saffron people coming, they're not Vaishnavas. So anybody would seriously, deeply perceive Vaishnavism, they would understand there's a lot wrong with that. It wasn't like together. In Bhaktivinoda time, Bhaktivinoda Thakur disguised with few Siddha Mahapurushas and Navadvip, being like policemen, making the chief of police, making his investigation on Mahaprabhu. Like, it's one of the theme for like movie. Bhaktivinoda's trying to make investigation. It's kind of like, no, it's a really amazing thing, because in his investigation, he's coming to Mayapur, talking to a few Siddha Mahapurushas, and trying to like feel, sense.
Find the maps.
Yeah, what was the Mayapur, and understanding something wrong with that. Like, everybody understood something was wrong with religion, because it's Kali Yuga, you can't count, it's perfect. Even when Saraswati Thakur did commentary on Surya Siddhanta, he would realize that in Kali Yuga, the planets are working different. It was so interesting when I saw one of the film in National Geographic about dinosaurs. One of the scientists said a very interesting thing. When we examine the Earth atmosphere at previous ages, we could understand it was much more substantial to raise all these big, huge animals. He said, in modern world we live, even atmospheres are totally different. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur started as astrologer. He's got in Benares his recognition for the astrology. What was his theme? He wasn't like predicting, give me your palm, I'll give you some prediction. As astrologer, he was like more towards astronomy. He recalculates all the Shastric information about the planets, the earth, how everything moves. And that time he was like 16 years old. So when he came up to Benares Pandits with his commentary of how we should understand the modern world, they were shocked and astonished and seeing this 16-year-old boy giving so deep understanding of the earth and world, and he must be a genius. So he's been recognized at Benares. But they were not the Vaishnavas, actually. They were just very deeply, scholars who would see that they're dealing with some kind of a genius person. So his birth at Jagannath Puri was amazing, because when he was born, the Jagannath Ratha Yatra stopped at his home, and the mother should...
Bhagavati Devi, she
Bhagavati,
brought him to
She
offer.
brought the child, and Jagannath moved. See what says in Chaitanya Charitamrita, then when they do Ratha Yatra, sometimes the cart with Lord stands still, and they can't even pull with thousands of elephants. And sometimes by his own will, it just runs itself. So people kind of like, who's pulling the ropes, they're in kind of a divine plane, because when Krishna is like, oh, stop it, they're like, oh, and then it's just going. So it stopped, and it stayed by Bhaktivinoda Thakur house, where Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was born, and then
She
after
offer the baby, and the garland falls on him.
and after offering of the baby, the Jagannath moved on. So it was very important that even Lord himself recognized, and so connection of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur with Lord Jagannath in Puri Dham, which is like an amazing, we just went to
That's why you got the name Bimala
Yes.
Prasad, those surrounding deities.
Yes.
One is Bimala Devi.
Yes.
And Bhaktivinoda Thakur is in charge. So he made some prayer to her, so he's called Bimala Prasad.
Yes. So he had an amazing position from his birth, but it's a very interesting quote that at 1917, Russian Revolution start.
Yeah.
1917 is the time when Gaudiya Math start. In 1917, people thought they can't live ordinary exploitationist life. So they challenge the world of capital and they start civil war, the communist movement.
World War.
Yeah, which is actually a very looking like spiritual ideas. Everyone giving according his necessity, ability, everyone receiving according his necessity. These are the spiritual principles. So when I preach,
and all the writers, just in those jazz age writers, and everything, because it was after World War I. Remember, that was called the war to end all wars.
Yes.
Good luck with that. But anyway, so after that, they all write, all the great writers, they think that there's this renaissance going on.
Yes.
That now all the evil has been cleansed. Now all the, and really it's true.
Yes.
But it's the Gaudiya Math.
Right. So what's very interesting, once I spoke on Communist Party in meeting in Calcutta, I was just like, I was working with some devotees, a whole bunch of communists with red flag. And I said to one devotee, I want to give you bait that I will speak now to the Communist Party meeting. And they wouldn't believe. So I just came, spoke with the guys. I said, I'm from Lenin Parivar, I'm a Russian guy. And they let me speak. And first I told them very simple. I said, what's the real communism? Everybody's giving according
from each according to his ability, to each according to his need.
Right, to each. I said, and also poor people there in Communist Party, like rickshaw, and I said, so what's your necessities? Everybody needs money, car, enjoyment, everything. Everybody has unlimited necessities. But what's your abilities? You can't even pedal rickshaw. You can't even compete with motor car. So that's the human life. Everybody wants to inquire everything, and you're not ready to give nothing. Actually, I was very impressed even with people who have money, finances, power, intellect. They're not interested to give that. Do you think if people that have money, finances, and power would share with this world, there would be poverty in Africa, people would be starving in India? Everybody understands there's much more money and resources that people can spend, but it's concentrated in hands of few people. But even if you take away this from those people and share equally, the blood will be a shade tomorrow, because one man will feel, oh, I did not get enough, or I can get more. So this was the idea of 1917 revolution. And it's actually, Russians did pretty good work. They spread this to China, India,
Southeast Asia.
Southeast Asia. It was like almost idea we're taking all the world. But then you get the Chinese communism, the Pol Pot, the Stalin terror with concentration camps, the World War II. So all these great ideas worth nothing because they had no spiritual backing. But what Saraswati Thakur did is he did something different. He proclaimed principle Ishvasya Madam Sarvam. Everything is meant to serve Lord. No matter who you are, if you just get this one idea, that's why he wasn't care about this British college and students and this and that. He thought if you just mentally or consciously connect to this principle, you actually are not center of universe. The universe is not around you. Everything is about Lord. Everything is about God. And you are meant to please Him. And you can please Him so many different ways, but you just have to consciously rotate your angle of vision. That was his idea. Can you say the same idea in Christianity or Islam? Yes, it's pretty much the same. But who's the God? If Krishna is center of beauty, love, charm, you can relate with him on a personal level as intimate associates, that things become very, very harmonious. Because the someone who's in center is some attraction, beauty. Therefore, he came up with a slogan of harmonist, harmony. What we're looking for is harmony. even here in Chiang Mai, in our daily life and relationship with our people and devotees, what we're actually looking for is the harmony. We're not looking for domination or position, because we suffer from that normally. When we extract from, when we overeat, we suffer from indigestion. So we're looking for harmony, and harmony means a very interesting principle Guru Maharaj explained. He said, in orchestra, everybody play his own instrument. It was so funny, in this orchestra, sometimes one guy has this big 2 kartals,
Yeah.
and he just come on the end. What I'm saying? He's like, it's so funny, like if the violin playing all the time and everybody else plays that, the guy play rarely, maybe not. So that's his job. Like, okay. But you know what? Even in his position, when the director does the work and you're like, boom, that works.
It's his contribution.
That's his contribution. That's all you need to do. Do the right time.
It's part of the band.
But just imagine, if you're the guy who think, well, I know how to do things. I'm pretty qualified. I'm part of orchestra. So before the director starts, you're just running out. Ding! He's like, come on, man. And then he's trying to do the music, the violin playing, and then you're running again. Ding, ding, ding. Yeah. Well, that's what this material world is happening. That's the world we live. Everybody has a very miser role to play in this world. But you know what? We can't give up an idea that we're some kind of important persons. So Saraswati Thakur, his idea was that first you try to understand what Krishna consciousness is. Then, as Guru Maharaj said, religion is proper adjustment. Try to adjust yourself into position where you are when you're dedicating energy would be the most important, the most useful. Just basically speaking, Goswami Maharaj, he could run in the kitchen, start cooking. He's a very good cook. Or Bhakti Lalita, she could probably, run to do something else and, shopping or driving. She knows how to drive. But we think, what is the most you can deliver? So when we analyze about our situation, our temple, we think, if Goswami Maharaj can come once in 2 days and give amazing talk to the rest of the world, he's doing well. If Bhakti Lalita runs the program daily, she's doing well. If some devotee does the kitchen work, he's doing well, because that's the best he can do. That's called harmony. Try to adjust yourself, not to adjust the rest of the world. So Saraswati Thakur brought this very amazing idea, but what the important thing he brought? Of course he brought the religion, of course he brought the dress, of course he brought the structure, of course he showed how not to practice Krishna consciousness. See, that's what Goswami Maharaj explained. Everybody is in India, they knew, I'm from Bengal, I know how to practice Krishna consciousness. It's in my village, it's in my home temple, it's in my hometown. But Saraswati Thakur, that's not necessarily what you're doing is spiritual, my friend. Then you think, what is spiritual? I chant my japa, I read the book. Why it's not spiritual? I even have the guru. You say, well, I will examine everything you're doing. What kind of holy name you're chanting? Who is your guru? What is your understanding of your book? And most if you don't connect with real substantial Vaishnava, everything is useless. It's just like you have this camera, but you don't connect to the proper switch. It doesn't really matter what you're doing with this camera. It could be a great work you're doing. So connecting with the proper Guru and Vaishnava and acting according your own ability and necessity. And Guru Maharaj said very simple, if you want to be in Gaudiya Math, try to eat dal and hear gal. Dal means you have to, if you're a real practitioner, you never get any luxury. And gal means gossip, or somebody will always chastise you, somebody will always criticize you. And just imagine, you're trying to do best life and work and spiritual life, and you'll still be guilty. You think, how is that possible? Material people, they get recognition, they get stars, they get medals, they get money. But if I go in spiritual life, I have to eat dal and hear the gal, and that's like ant. You're not going to get any higher. There'll be still somebody who's challenging what you're doing, no matter how great you are. And Saraswati Thakur was challenged. Govinda Maharaj was challenged. Sridhar Maharaj was like challenged in age of ages by just like people who don't even know what was his message. So this is the ant. But as Goswami Maharaj said, it's something so great that if you have slight connection with that, but that connection real substantial, you'll be benefited so widely. Why? Because he is Mahapurush. If you just think like a Matrix movie, from Matrix movie, the few guys coming to a different reality, they may do so many crazy things, but actually they are from another reality. They know what it is. They do the revolution, and the rest of the world is a dream. So it's just like in Matrix movie, like the Morpheus, he's coming and tell you, what are you choosing? Are you choosing material existence with like plane of exploitation, or you choose revolutionary life that might be short and not maybe happy, your life may not be entirely happy, but if you're choosing that, you have the greatest opportunity in your life. That's what with Mahayogi we say in Cambodia, there were so many things for us difficult, but we understood that was the best we could do today. So today, the Saraswati Thakur day, that's the best thing we can do. We can glorify a great teacher and Maharaj explained so many intricate details. Actually, what he thought, I calculate maybe 10 things we can speak about those things for hours about Saraswati Thakur. You can't just glorify him in 40 minutes talk, but because of the prasadam. We should also sing the song and yes.
We have Pushpanjali.
Yes.
Yeah.
We can do arati.
Yeah,
also.
an arati would be good.
Yeah. So let's just start.
I want to just read this. It's very difficult to sing this song, but I just want to read it because it's only 5 verses, but Guru Maharaj wrote it.
Yes.
For Saraswati Thakur's appearance day, so it's the birthday song.
Jaya.
This Baya Banjana Jaya Shangshana Korunayatanayanam Kanakot Pala Janakodjala Rasasagara Chayanam Mukari Krita Dharani Tala Hari Kirtana Rasanam Kritipavana Bhavatarana Pititaruna Basanam Subadodaya Divishe Vrisha Ravija Nijadaitam Pranamami Charanantika Paricharaka Sahitam. Sharana, it says his divine form came from the birth of the golden lotus, the ocean of mellow divine consorthood. His large merciful eyes dispel the suffering soul's fear and proclaim the surrendered soul's victory. His tongue constantly vibrates the whole earth with Sri Krishna Sankirtan, his beauty resplendent in the robes of the sun's radiance, saffron, that purifies the universe and dispels the suffering of material existence. On his holy day of Advent, I again and again bow down unto that beloved associate of Sri Vishubhanu Nandini and the servitors of his holy lotus feet. Sharanagata Bhajanabrata Chirapalana Charanam. And like Ananta Dev, be ready to sing Sri Guru Charana Padma, to have a kirtan while we're doing the arati and the flowers.
Okay.
Sukritalaya, or you can sing, but someone should be. Shavala Shaya Sujana Kila Baranam, Harisadana Kritabadana Janashashana Kalanam, Sacharachara Korunakara Nikila Shiva Dalanam, Subadodaya Divishe Vrishavravija Nijadaitam, Pranamami Charanantika Paricharaka Sahitam. The devotees surrendered in pure devotion, are eternally protected at his lotus feet. He is worshipable by the pure souls endowed with sincerity and good fortune, and he accepts even those who obstruct the service of Sri Hari, just to rectify them. As the very fountainhead of mercy, upon all moving and non-moving beings. He crushes the inauspiciousness of the whole universe. On his holy day, appearance day, I again and again bow down unto that beloved associate of Sri Vrishabhanu Nandini, Srimati Radharani, and the servitors of his lotus feet. Atilokika gati tolika ratiko tuka bapusam ati daivata mati vaishnava jati vaivamba purusham shasanatana ragurupaka paramanaga charitam suvicharaka iva jivaka iti sadhu biruditam subadodaya divashe vrisharavija nijadaitam pranamami charanantika paricharaka sahitam. Like a miracle, his body moves with a joyful elegance and charm beyond the world's understanding, fulfilling the artist's aspiration, or dancing and pastimes transcendental to the world. His artistic form incites divine love's hankering. His intellect surpasses that of even the demigods, and he is nobility incarnate as the commander-in-chief of the Vaishnava sannyasis, Tridandi, Jatis. The sadhus of profound intellect describe the nature of his personality as meticulously in the line of Sri Sanatan, Sri Rupa, Sri Raghunath, and they speak of him as being on the same plane as Sri Jiva Goswami Pad, being superbly replete in perfect theistic conclusions. On his holy appearance day, I again and again bow down to that beloved associate of Sri Vrishabhanu Nandini, Srimati Radharani, and the servitors of his lotus feet. Sarasi tata sukhadotaja nikata priya bhajanam lalita mukha lalana kula paramadara yajanam brajakanana bahumanana kamala priyanayanam guna manjari gorima guna haribasana vayanam subadodaya divishe vrishavavija nijadaitam pranamami charanantika paricharaka sahitam. On the bank of Sri Radha Kunda at Swananda Sukhada Kunja, he is devoted to the service of his beloved, and furthermore is greatly endeared to the divine damsels of Braja, headed by Sri Lalita. His most favorite is Sri Kamala Manjari, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who is preeminent in Vrindavan, and with the glorious qualities of Guna Manjari, Srila Gaur Kishordas Babaji Maharaj, he builds the residence of Sri Hari. On this holy day of his appearance, I bow down repeatedly to that beloved associate of Sri Vrishabhanu Nandini, Srimati Radharani, and the servitors of his lotus feet. Bimalotsavam amalotkala purushottama jananam patitodriti koronastriti kritanutana pulanam mathura pura purushottama samagora puratanam harikamaka haridamaka harinamaka ratanam subadodaya divishe vrishavravija nijadaitam pranamami charanantika paricharaka sahitam. He is immaculate joy incarnate, or he is the graciousness or the joy of Bimala Devi. He manifested the pastimes of his advent at Purushottam Kshetra, Jagannath Puri, and the holy land of Orissa, and he revealed his pastimes of delivering the fallen souls and extending his mercy upon them by awarding them the gift of divine love at the new islands of Navadvip, circumambulating Gauradham in the same way as traditionally done at Brajadam and Purushottam Dham. He continuously propagates the loving desire of Braja, the divine abode of Vaikuntha, and the holy name of Krishna. And his day, holy appearance day, I again and again make my obeisances unto that dear eternal associate of Sri Vrishabhanu Nandini, Srimati Radharani, and the servitors of his holy lotus feet. Jai Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Avirbhav Maha Mahotsava Titi Ki Jai. Nitai Go Premanande.